because I was so stressed that instead of creating coping skills, I avoided everything.
Hey, welcome to Powerful Shares. I'm here to connect. I'm Melissa, and here we discuss all the powerful stories. This week, in honor of World Mental Health Day, which was on October 10th, just a couple days ago, my lovely friend Regina, who will also be sharing next week as well, she was interested in sharing her story regarding some trouble she ran into with dealing with stress and coping with stress and how that had an impact on her mental health. So, Regina, thank you so much for coming.
Thank you for having me.
So I love that you wanted to jump in and do a podcast for this day. I think that's really cool and honorable for mental health, right?
Absolutely.
So many people are struggling. So I would love for you to just dive right into your experience.
This is my experience that I do want to share. This has a lot to do with stress. This has a lot to do with circumstances that I've gone through and what my decisions were to cope. And I think the word here, coping, is the number one word that we'll probably be talking about because that has everything to do with your mental health journey. And I think that what you choose to cope is also a big part of your outcome on how you deal with it. You know, just like how I dealt with it. It's not what you go through, it's how you go through it. And this is how I went through it.
Okay, let's hear it.
In 2023, I was dealing with a lot, and my normal way of coping with stress and anxiety and any type of issues that I was going through throughout my adult life has been smoking weed and or walking or doing both. And it's pretty much how I've been coping most of my life. But it's something that wasn't serving me at the time. And I decided to try to figure out other ways to cope that wasn't just me self-medicating myself. So I decided to go see a doctor, and I decided to get on an antidepressant. So I removed substances from my body like alcohol and marijuana just so I can really see the effects on the medication that I chose to take. And so I can also figure out other ways to cope as well, in like not basically concurrently with the medication. I was prescribed the lowest dose of antidepressant that I chose, and it seemed to be working in the beginning. The first few months were good. I definitely had like an overwhelming experience of happiness. I was getting things done. I got a really good new job. I was glowing in ways that I didn't, I wasn't really glowing at the time. However, there's, with solving one problem for me was creating a boatload of other problems that I was unaware of. And I think that what happened was it just compounded on each other. So I was relying on this medication to make me feel happy, but I didn't do what I wanted to do in the beginning, was concurrently create coping skills that were healthy to continue to grow and to continue to learn and get healthier. Instead, I was solely relying on this medication.
Okay, so you sort of wanted to simultaneously learn healthy, natural coping skills to then eventually wean off of the medicine?
Absolutely. I think that was the goal. And I think that what I really was doing was I was avoiding doing anything more than just taking the medication because it was working for me.
Right.
So it was working for me. I was feeling an overwhelming feeling of happiness, and I worked with the public, and I was, the face of a lot of things at work, and all of that was working. I was getting great responses from people. I was getting wonderful responses from colleagues. There was really, there was good things that were happening. So I felt like it was equated to the pill.
Right.
I felt like that was controlling my outcome.
Got it.
This was supposed to be a temporary thing, and it ended up to be a year long. So that it being a whole year of taking it, my body was getting used to it. I didn't know about certain side effects. So when the medication stopped working for me, when I had other stress in my life, and when other side effects started happening, I didn't know how to cope because I didn't create those skills I said I was going to do.
Okay. Now, when did that roughly start?
About 6 months, I want to say, after the medication.
6 months after starting the medication?
Correct.
Got it.
I started smoking weed again for a little while just to really cope with just that oomph feeling. And then I stopped smoking because it was just like the cycle I didn't want to continue. And then what had kind of happened is in the summer and before the summer, I started having physical symptoms. I've always had more of a sensitive gut when certain things process in my body, depending on what time of the month it is. I don't know. There's so many factors.
Yeah.
And at the time, I wasn't able to like digest food properly. So it was like I was going through this like gut experience where I felt like if I ate something, I was just going to explode. And that my body was not working properly with my digestive system. And I was just, I disconnected from my own reality in a way because I was so stressed that instead of creating coping skills, living in the reality, I avoided everything. I avoided dealing with my bills properly, just in terms of like really taking a fine-tooth comb and going through things the way I should on a monthly to a bi-monthly basis. I wasn't paying off things the way I should have paid off things. I wasn't focusing on my future Regina. I was focusing on getting through the day. Okay. And that's it. And my body was having an avoidant reaction as well. Like the problem was I wasn't handling anything.
Okay. Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
When did you realize that you were doing this?
When things started piling up and consequences started happening.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah. And it was just kind of like, I thought I was in a good position because I was doing so well at work, even though it was extremely stressful and very hard on my body. But I equated money to my worth at the time. And I was like, oh, well, I'm doing great at work. I have this badass job. It was almost like I was, what's the better word? On autopilot.
I was going to say, it sounds like you were on a hamster wheel.
Yeah. That's a good way to put it. Just running on this hamster wheel.
You're just like running on, just getting it done, just getting it done.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, back at the ranch, bills are piling up. The mail on the table is now like
2
blocks high.
Oh, I don't even open mail.
Okay.
I don't even open mail.
Okay. So when you realized that this was happening, then what did you do?
So eventually I went to the ER doctor when my body was so swollen I could barely walk or fit into my clothes. I wasn't digesting anything. I was drinking 2 40-ounce Stanley cups of water a day and not peeing. I was just retaining water and I was bloating so bad.
Wow.
So I went to urgent care and they told me that my body was reacting to all of the stress that I was dealing with at work and all the stress that was piling up. And I was taken off of the antidepressant slowly during that visit because he felt as if it was affecting my body in a negative way. But I also had to take a step back from work and take care of my mental health. And that is when I realized it's not about the money. It's not about this. I have to make sure that I'm okay. And dealing with a crazy amount of stress at work is not for me right now. And whatever happens is going to happen. And this is just what it is. But removing stress from my life is the only way that I was going to be able to heal my body. My body was in a fight or flight mode for God knows only how long.
Right.
I have no idea.
Stress will kill.
100%.
It 100% will.
Yeah.
And I'm not even just talking about on a mental and emotional level. I'm also talking about on a physical level.
Oh, 100%.
So Regina, just to relate to you a little bit, when I was in my early 20s, I worked out so much. Well, from high school, I played sports. In college, played sports. And then afterwards, I worked out like crazy. Mm-hmm. I way overtrained to the point where I spun my body. I was 24 years old and my body became perimenopausal. And that's an example of physical stress.
Right.
So when I say stress kills, I'm talking mental, emotional, physical. I mean, literally, I was 24 years old and I became perimenopausal.
Wow.
Now, because I was so young, I was able to reverse it.
Wow.
However, I had to stop working out, period. The only thing I could do was yoga. And then I started doing yoga, and then that was a life-changing experience.
Wow.
My point is that what you experienced, it's a wake-up call. You just said that you're taking a break from work, and you are now focused on your mental health. What are you now doing to cope and handle the stress?
Well, I'm trying to do very calming things. So I'm doing things that are like more regimen based. So like I'm journaling every day. I'm reading sections of the Bible every day because it just, it's a part of my religion. It's a part of where I want to be in my future. I'm doing it for my future. I'm also doing like mindfulness and meditation exercises so I can stay present. I'm trying to stay present and focus on what I'm doing at hand. And I'm trying to lessen my stress because I know, and having faith for me is what helps me. So I know that my life is going to be okay. I know that sticking to my faith, sticking to my mindfulness, sticking to my meditation and my daily walks is decompressing the stress. It's taking off that like heaviness that I was feeling. I felt like I was like carrying the world on my back.
It's not like you're going to get over this and overcome this situation and be good. No, you're going to deal with stress again in the future. Right. So it's about really learning how to like take stress, look at it, dissect it, and like, you know what I mean? Almost like taking a second, stepping back, taking a second, being like, okay, here's the situation.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? It sounds to me like when you were dealing with all of this, you were kind of in just like go, 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 go mode, kind of like the hamster on the wheel.
Absolutely.
Right. Rather than like just taking a break, pausing, taking a deep breath, stepping back and being like, okay, here's the situation.
Right.
Let's take it bit by bit, step by step, right?
Right.
And I feel like when we do have healthy coping skills, then we're able to sort of like look at the minutia of it a little bit more.
Well, it's not so big.
Right. It's not so big. Yeah. You can take bite sizes.
Right. Exactly. You can take baby steps. You don't have to like conquer everything right away. And one of my girlfriends said this to me, and this was directly related to just my like habit with smoking weed. And she also smokes weed. And she was saying, when you go for, your joint or your bong or whatever you choose, or your gummies, whatever you choose, when you go for that and you're like, okay, I'm going to take a gummy right now, or I'm going to do this, figure out why you're doing it. Mm-hmm. Like sit there and think about it. Like, am I doing this because I feel uncomfortable and to avoid whatever I'm feeling? Because if that's the case, deal with that emotion before you go and take that gummy or take that bong hit or whatever you choose to do. Like, because you're not dealing with that emotion, you're burying it.
Right.
And it will come out in an anxiety attack. It will come out in stress from work. It will come out in not being able to cope, and all of the stuff. It comes out that way.
Right.
So my thing is, I'm trying to pinpoint my triggers right now.
I love that you're doing that. That's good, because you need to reclaim your power and your whole self. So much of life is just simply out of our hands.
Right.
You know what I mean? There's literally just only so much we can control.
Right.
And I think also something that really helps me is letting go of control.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? Because here's the thing. I'm a big believer in like, what's meant for me will find me.
Right.
And I do feel like some of the coolest things in my life, some of the greatest gifts in my life have found me rather than me seeking it out.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? And so when we let go and not necessarily force, it can kind of come to us easier in a sense. Yeah. This is just my outlook on life.
100%.
And it goes, okay, so I don't know if it's Wayne Dyer or Lao Tzu or somewhere I heard it from Wayne Dyer. I don't know where it came from though. And that is something along the lines of, when we're in the womb, it's not like we're in the womb stressing out, oh my goodness, am I going to grow a thumb? No, it just happens. Right. Our thumbs just grow. Like our lungs just develop. Right. Our organs just are. It's not like we're in the womb stressing out. Right. No, it just happens. Right. But then when we're born, okay, God, I got it from here. It's like, rather than just letting things take its course. Right. It's like, letting go of control.
Right. And that's exactly kind of where I'm at right now too.
Love it.
Because I suffocate everything. And it's just
girlfriend. Okay, you suffocate everything. Yeah. Can I bring this to your attention? So no person wants to be suffocated. You don't want to be suffocated. Your kid doesn't want to be suffocated, right? You know that. We know people don't like to be suffocated. Right. Well, energetically, situations don't want to be suffocated either. Right. It's all just energy, right? Right. This is just my opinion.
No, right? You're right.
So it's like, why do we like try and suffocate a situation and try and make something happen? And like, I gotta obsess over it and obsess over it and obsess over it until I get it. No, that's like literally suffocating it, and it has no room to even like be or like come forward to.
Right.
Does this make sense?
Yeah.
I don't know. This is just like how I feel about stress.
At the end of the day, you cannot control what happens to you. It's just going to happen.
Yeah.
It's not what you go through. It's how you go through it. So my thing is I'm trying to go through things in a healthy way as opposed to completely breaking down and let it affect my everyday. And right now it's, I want to get to a point where I can take on the most stressful job and I can do all of that, and it's not going to break me as a person. We're all going to be stressed through everything we do. It's how we deal with it, which is going to be where we are at that next level. It's going to bring us here to here. And
Yes.
That's kind of where I am right now. I don't want to suffocate anything. I want everything in my life to be authentic and real, and also be what is for me.
Good.
Because what's for me is going to be there. And if it's not, then why chase it down?
Exactly.
Yeah. So that's kind of where I'm at right now. And I'm trying to figure out what works chemically in my body. I'm trying to figure out what works, how I can control things in terms of just walking, drinking water, taking, my vitamins and minerals and things that I'm taking to make sure that I'm healthy. My self-care right now is like the number one thing I'm working on, because without me, I have no life.
Right.
My kid has no mom.
Right.
We have no future.
Right. No, that's great. Dude, that was good. That was really good. That was
you.
That was a good share. I'm super glad that you called and you wanted to jump on, because I think
Yeah.
that it's very relatable, and I love that you're taking the bull by the horns and like getting your life back and really handling the stress, because it's so important. Like
Right.
stress is just such an issue,
Right.
that will never go away. It's just part of life.
It directly affects your mental health.
100%. So I think that this is really good to honor mental health, World Mental Health Day. So yeah, girl, thanks for coming.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much for watching. I hope you found this content helpful. If you are having a hard time coping with stress and stress management in your mental health, consider seeking help. A company that I really like is BetterHelp.com. They have a plethora of different therapists to suit your exact needs, and I find them to be relatively affordable. Also, if you are interested in sharing a powerful story, please email at powerfulshares, I'm here to connect, @gmail.com, and we'll see you next time.